ask you this. What if the very thing that made you successful in your last role is the exact thing that's stopping you from succeeding in your current role? Well, today we're going to dive into the master move method. We're going to uncover the patterns and blind spots that are capping your impact. Now, most leaders are running a high performance engine, but they have the handbrake on and they don't even know it. Now, today we're going to release that handbrake. In this video, we'll cover how you see your current situation clearly by unlocking those blind spots. We're going to look at how to choose a high leverage move that changes the game for you. And most importantly, how to unlock those results. Now, if you're new here, I'm Penny Wood. I help senior leaders and executives bridge the gap between having a seat at the table and actually shaping the direction of the business using my master move method. If you're ready to move out of the operational weeds and start driving the agenda, then hit the subscribe button, join a community of leaders who are ready to they're done with the status quo, right? They want to change things. So let's find those blind spots. Now, we all have what I call leadership defaults. Those are patterns we fall into when we're under pressure. Now, if you don't see them, you can't change them, right? So to move forward, you've got to look in the mirror, not at what you think you're doing, but what are the actual patterns of your leadership. Now, this is about uncovering those patterns and blind spots in your behavior. Now, we all have our leadership defaults, right? The things we do automatically when the pressure is on. Now, for some of you, that default might be a deep dive. A problem arises and you're the person who immediately rolls up their sleeves, gets into the data, starts solving the problem, right? For others, it might be being a peacekeeper, having a peacekeeper move. You avoid conflict in a meeting and you rather have a one-to-one to fix it afterwards. Now, the problem is that these patterns, they're invisible to you because a lot of the time they're your strengths. But at a senior level, a strength overplayed often becomes a blind spot, if that makes sense. Now think about it. You're always the one fixing the engine. You aren't looking at the horizon. You're not driving the agenda. I want you to look at the last 3 times you felt kind of stuck or overwhelmed. What was the common denominator? Maybe you took on a task that belonged to a direct report, for example. Or maybe you stayed silent when you should have challenged somebody else in the room. Maybe it was a peer, maybe it was a director. But when you identify the trigger, that movement of friction, you start to uncover those blind spots and you stop being a passenger to the default patterns of behavior that you fall into. And it's only then that you start to see why that situation isn't working for you in your leadership. And that clarity is the only way to find a real solution to what's going on, what's stopping you from succeeding in your role. Now, once you know that that's happening and why it's happening, it's time to identify your master move. This is the highest leverage action you can take to break the pattern. Now, the master move isn't just another task on your list. It's the one move that's going to have the biggest impact. For example, if you've identified a pattern of behavior, say you micromanage under pressure, right? Your master move might be a radical delegation of a key project to your most capable director. Now, choosing this type of move, it requires courage because it forces you to step away from the doing and the things that make you feel safe. You've got to ask yourself, what is the one action that will create the biggest impact in my team or in the business outcomes? And for a director I worked with in the past, it was the decision to stop being the safety net of their team's daily operational glitches instead of spending time on leading that cross-functional strategy for the coming year. Now, it felt risky at first for them to step back from the detail that he knew so well. But what happened was it shifted the perception of him entirely. He stopped being seen as the person who was keeping things running, and he started being recognized as the person who was determining where the organization was going. Now that is leverage, but it took quite a while to get that shift to happen. The idea is that you're not trying to do everything better, you're identifying the one move that changes the game for you. That's your master move. Now, here is where most leadership development fails. People make a move, they see the result, and then 3 weeks later, they're right back in the weeds. They jump back to their old behavior. And that's why this next step is critical, because it's locking in your results. Now, you have to embed the change and own that new standard. This isn't a one-time event, right? It's a lifestyle shift, a behavioral shift. How do you unlock it? Well, you create kind of the guardrails. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, if your master move was to stop attending operational meetings and get out of the weeds, you don't just skip one. What you do is you formally remove yourself from the calendar and you empower a deputy or someone on your team to lead those meetings. You communicate the new standard to your peers and to your team, and you say, my focus is now on X, so I won't be involved in Y. By owning the new standard, you make the change undeniable. When people see that you're no longer available in that old way, they stop asking you to those meetings. Your impact becomes evident because you've created a vacuum that your team now has to fill, which grows them whilst leaving you free to lead at a higher level. Now, this is how you win your master move, not by doing it once, but by making it the only way you work. Now, your leadership evolution is about breaking the cycle of what's comfortable in order to reach what's possible. Now, if you've identified a pattern of behavior today that you know that's holding you back, well, click the link in the description below to watch my Master Move Executive Summary. It's a 10-minute briefing where I lay out the full framework that I use to help executives release that handbrake, move out of the operational weeds, and start driving the agenda. Now, if you're ready to execute and you want a partner to help identify those blind spots, well, you can book a strategy call with me, and you'll also find the link below to do that in the description. And if this resonated with you, I'd really appreciate you giving the video a like, hit the subscribe button, join me here on my channel, and with that, I will see you next time.